One of the really cool things about living in Copenhagen is the number of churches that there are. This is a very small chapel at a little cemetery, sort of toward the center of the city. It looks quite old, but it's actually from 1902, which is still old, but not in any way from Viking times, which this is meant to recreate. But the architect of it is a guy named Ludvig Fenger, I believe. I'm probably mispronouncing that horribly, but he was a historicist architect, and he built a lot of churches, including that big one with the spire over there, in a completely different style. But yeah, he made this one. He wanted it to look like the Nordic stave style churches with the little dragons and the cock on the top there. So that's kind of cool. But I thought it was interesting, and it's the middle of COVID times, so I probably can't go inside. I think you have to book the chapel to actually be able to go in, but I thought it was really cool looking and kind of unique, so I figured I'd come over and check it out. This is in a place called Holmen Cemetery, which is a naval cemetery, actually. It's from I think it first began in the 1500s, and then they moved it over here in the 1600s, but there are quite a few famous people that I really have done no research on, so I have no authority to talk about their lives or what they did, and their names are not in any way familiar to me. But cemeteries in Copenhagen are actually really beautiful. This looks almost like a botanical garden. The U.S. Embassy is straight ahead. Yeah, actually, right ahead there, and there's a cemetery behind that, which is even more beautiful, but this is just, there are paths going everywhere and lots of botanical beauty, which is very nice, I think. Copenhagen is dedicated to being a very green city because it's so populated. They made an ordinance, or passed an ordinance, I guess, that people shouldn't have to walk more than 15 minutes to be able to access a green space from their homes. And obviously that's not applicable to everyone just yet, but they're trying to make it that way. They're building quite a bit of parks and green spaces around the city, which I think is a really cool idea. I like it a lot. When I first got to Copenhagen, I stayed in a small hostel, a little boutique place with pod beds, and it was trying to mock or mirror a Japanese style hostel, just like a capsule hotel, I guess. But there was a lake right beside it, or maybe a 2 or 3 minute walk, and it had palm trees around it, or not palm trees, but like weeping willows, and you could go stand under them and just look out at the lake, and it was gorgeous, and you could just walk around, and it was great. But this is some of the style of this chapel here with the windows. I don't know, I like it a lot. Those shingles are really cool, and just the woodwork and everything is really neat. So I think it's very interesting. I know I haven't made a video in quite some time. I haven't been exploring that much. Definitely not as much as I would like. I actually had 2 exams for the classes that I was taking this past term, and I did very, very badly on one of them and just barely passed the class. So I'm very depressed about that, because my ultimate goal is to go on to a PhD program, and now with that bad grade on my transcript, I don't know that I'm going to be able to. So I'm doing what I can to see about possibly getting a retake for the exam, because it was an oral exam and it was online, and I have very severe anxiety, and I was basically panicking the entire exam. I did let them know, and they have documentation that I have severe anxiety and post-traumatic stress, but yeah, I basically froze. I mean, I was talking, and it did have something to do with the class because I did pass, but I don't remember what I was saying. I was so scared that I was going to be judged, and obviously I was judged fairly harshly. But, yeah, there's nothing I can really do at the moment, but I'm trying. I'm in contact with the head of my program and the instructor, and I'm going to see what I can do to maybe get that rectified, or at least the grade raised a bit. But anyway, that's completely irrelevant to the really cool little church here, and I'm being awkward as hell. But let's see, the entrance over here is kind of awesome looking. Okay, not sure if you can read it. I should probably get a bit closer and then maybe zoom a little. Don't know. Something about we will be still and said something God. I don't know. I don't speak Danish well enough to read that. I'd have to translate it, and I believe it's older Danish, but it's kind of cool anyway. And then there's a little pole chain for the thing, and those windows are really awesome. I don't know. I might walk around to the other side and see if I can't get in that way. I sincerely doubt it, but can maybe look. Yeah, this is not gonna let me in. There's no way. Yeah, that's locked. I think I just locked it more, actually. Oh, cool. There's little peepholes. That's awesome. Yeah. It doesn't really snow much in Copenhagen at all, which is kind of depressing, but there is a little bit of iciness on the ground, which is difficult. I'm trying to maneuver with the cane as best I can, and on a path like this it's fine because it's gravel, so it's not that bad. But here are some more modern, less ornate headstones, but the church has these little things that come down and little benches where people can sit, and I believe these are dedicated to people, which is kind of interesting in my opinion. Chapel's woodwork can give something. I don't know. Can't read it. Sometimes it's hard for me to read things on plaques and signs just because I can't really see, and letters sort of blend into each other, so it's difficult. When I'm online, I use my screen reader, but obviously that doesn't apply to things in the real world, so yeah. Oh, there's a door. That's kind of cool looking too. Hold on, let me get over here. Yeah. It's a bit plain, but still cool. Again, I sincerely doubt this will be open, but can look anyway. Door. Nope. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the inside of the chapel at all, which is disappointing, but understandable because COVID times, and I guess they don't just want people hanging out in here for no reason. They do have wakes and funeral services in here, which is cool because it's very, very small. And honestly, if I were to die in Copenhagen, this would be the place I would want to be sent off from. Like, this is pretty badass. I'm sorry, it's just, I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but I do really like old architecture, and religious architecture is usually really, really beautiful, and this is no exception. And I could just walk through, because I'm going over on that side, I could just walk through the grass, but I'd be walking over people's graves, and I feel bad about that. I don't know, I mean, I'm not really superstitious when it comes to dead people in cemeteries, but it just feels really disrespectful to do that. And I know it's not a big deal, and cemeteries are basically treated like parks in Denmark anyway, so it's not like a cultural thing that I'd have to worry about, but it feels weird to me, so I'm not going to bother with it. Little inclined grave there, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, people are coming in all the time on their bikes and just walking. And they go, and I don't know, this just looks really cool. I like it. It's a nice little environment, I think. And there are a lot of festivals and people having picnics and things in the summertime at cemeteries here, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, I'll give you one more look at the chapel, and then I think I'm going to be done for today because there's not really that much else to do. And I mean, it's a gorgeous church, but I can't go inside it, so there's nothing really that interesting to say about it, aside from the architecture, which is badass. But I gave you all the information I could find on Google and the Wikipedias, and the architect that constructed this actually was the city architect of Copenhagen, and he constructed a lot of churches around the city, which I am going to go seek out. I showed you the one on the other side over there, which is just kind of plain in my opinion. I mean, it's definitely not very cool compared to this one, but this is sort of an anomaly, I think. They do have Viking recreations and things here because Denmark, but yeah, most churches are not in this style in any capacity. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the rambling that you need from me, but I thought this was really interesting when I saw it on Google and figured I wasn't doing anything else, and pretty much everything is closed for COVID, so I figured I'd come over and check it out because I think it's fun. The end.